Hello, in this video, we the Minutemen are going to be talking about the 5 fallacies of racism. First off, what is a fallacy? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of a fallacy is an often plausible argument using false or invalid inference. This could mean that a person would believe in a false idea thinking it is true. The 5 fallacies of racism that occurs in the US today are individualistic, tokenistic, legalistic, fixed, and ahistorical. How can these fallacies be harmful, you might say? These 5 fallacies can be harmful because many people only understand what racism is in a limited viewpoint, and it's often misconstrued through misconceptions. Making it so, people will be getting the wrong idea about what racism is.
In all honesty, I don't think I'd hire someone named Juan. I would rather hire someone named John. Juan just seems unprofessional. That seems a little racist to not hire someone based on their name, especially since Juan obviously isn't a typical white name. What? I'm not racist. It's not like I hate Black or Hispanic people. There's no way I could be racist. This is an example of individualistic fallacy. This means that people believe that racism is intentional and that there are two types of people in this world, racists and non-racists. This is incorrect because racism can be unintentional, can happen through implicit bias. Racism doesn't always happen through interpersonal communication. It also happens at a structural and institutional level.
The second fallacy is the tokenistic fallacy. This means that people believe that the presence of people of color in certain positions of influence means that racism has either become an issue that has been solved or that it is not nearly as bad as it was. Wow, I can't believe we have a black president. Yeah, it's like nobody's even racist anymore. What? How can you say that? I'm just saying, if a black man can be elected the president, then clearly racism isn't that bad anymore. By focusing almost exclusively on the people of color who have been successful, people are ignoring the many obstacles and hardships, such as higher rates of living in poverty and dealing with discrimination, that are still routinely faced by many people of color.
I can't believe there's still racism in 2017. It's ridiculous. What? Nah, there's no racism in 2017. Slavery was abolished and they got rid of the Jim Crow laws. Racism doesn't exist no more. The third fallacy is the legalistic fallacy. This is the view that through the abolishment of de jure and de facto laws that segregated people of color, it must automatically mean the abolition of racism. However, the abolition of these laws does not abolish behavior. In reality, this is important because people should be aware in regard to their own well-being, but also the treatment to others that racist practices still continue to happen to this day, such as the KKK, a racist organization that is still active today and discriminate towards people of color. The fourth fallacy is the ahistorical fallacy. This is the view that America's racist past, for example, slavery, Jim Crow laws, and other racial practices, has had no effect or impact on the current day. For example, with the rise of suburbia in the 1950s and the rise of discrimination towards African Americans and other minorities, the government rejected these racial groups to get loans or the right to purchase homes in these neighborhoods. This created a lasting effect of racial separation in neighborhoods throughout America. Most of today's society is caused by and consequentially been shaped by America's racial past. To prevent this fallacy, people should learn about the past events to recognize what was wrong and not disregard its lasting effects.
Do you think racism has increased or decreased? I feel like it decreased over time. People aren't as racist as they used to be, like in the 50s or 60s. I don't think racism can be measured. It kind of just changed over time. The final fallacy is the fixed fallacy. This is a concept when people ignore how racist practices can be different throughout time and how it can be measured over time too. People may think that the abolition of slavery and segregation laws in the past must mean that racism is declining to this very day. In reality, racism still continues to this very day but have assumed different forms of practices and cannot be measured over time. In the past, there were segregation laws of schools and public establishments, but today there's a man trying to build a wall to keep out an entire race out of a country. These two acts of racism are completely different. Thank you for watching the video.
Created using Powtoon.